Everyone is trying to respond to the collision of two cargo ships on Longtao River. Geo, the 28th of April, 2025. Following the collision on the Longtao River, it became evident that the container ship KMTC Surabaya had sustained significant bow damage, while the bulk carrier Glengyle suffered a breach at her stern, causing her to sink to the riverbed. Although an oil spill was reported, initial assessments confirmed there were no injuries and no cargo losses. Observations suggest that Glenngyle was sailing in ballast, noticeable by her elevated bow and the fact that her stern settled at the bottom. The impact from KMTC Surabaya was so forceful that it tore open Glengyle's port side. Damage was particularly visible around the aft cargo holds, likely hold number 5, where the hatch covers had been violently displaced. Anchors were deployed during or after the incident, as evidenced by tension seen on the anchor chains. One striking visual captured shows KMTC Surabaya's bow embedded deep into the side of Glenngyle, practically wedged in after tearing through the hull. The sequence of images clearly shows the severity of the collision, though it remains uncertain exactly when the anchors were dropped during or after the impact. Given the strong currents typical of the Longtao River, it's difficult to determine whether anchor deployment was intended to limit further damage. A review of marine traffic data highlights the sheer devastation inflicted upon Glenngyle. Surabaya, heavily laden and en route to Ho Chi Minh City, delivered an enormous amount of kinetic energy upon impact, resulting in catastrophic structural damage. One striking visual captured shows KMTC Surabaya's bow embedded deep into the side of Glenngyle, practically wedged in after tearing through the hull. The sequence of images clearly shows the severity of the collision, though it remains uncertain exactly when the anchors were dropped during or after the impact. Currently, Glengyle's stern is submerged, suggesting serious flooding in her aft compartments. While confirmation is pending, visual evidence implies the engine room might also be compromised. KMTC Surabaya seems to have ridden up and is now pressing down on Glengyle's hull. The close proximity between Surabaya's bow and Glengyle's aft crane offers a stark reminder of the immense power involved in maritime collisions. Remarkably, there were no fatalities. Marine traffic data indicates that Surabaya was traveling down the Longtao River at approximately 13 knots, maintaining considerable speed even within the narrow, winding waterway, clearly under pilotage. Navigation markers were visible throughout the channel, guiding ships toward container facilities located upriver. Surabaya's journey began from Ho Chi Minh City around 13:30 UTC or 8:30 p.m. local time. However, AIS tracking from marine traffic may not present a fully accurate depiction given the sparse receiver coverage in the area. The collision itself took place at a notoriously difficult S-curve bend, possibly the worst point along the river for two large vessels to encounter each other. As events unfolded, Surabaya was descending at approximately 11.5 knots, while Glenngyle advanced upstream at roughly 13.1 knots. Although the night was calm with light winds, the darkness and river twists presented major navigation challenges. Importantly, Vietnam adheres to buoyage system A, unlike the US, meaning returning ships keep red buoys to their left, an important detail when analyzing traffic flow. As both vessels maneuvered, they unfortunately ended up on a collision course. While AIS data provides a rough overview, more precise information from ship VDRs and ECDIS systems will be needed for a thorough investigation. The collision was brutal. Surabaya's port bow smashed into Glengyle's port bow, resulting in both vessels locking and drifting upstream. Eventually, Surabaya's stern grounded on the west bank. Indications suggest that anchors were dropped in the aftermath, contributing to the drifting pattern seen in video footage. Salvage tugs then moved in, working to clear the passage and ensure other river traffic could proceed. Surabayas Background information reveals she was built in 2018, with a container capacity of about 2,800 TEUs. The vessel is partially loaded and operated by companies based in South Korea, with insurance handled through Britannia Steam. Throughout the past year, Surabaya primarily operated in East Asia, shuttling cargo between countries like Vietnam, Korea, and China. Glenngyle, on the other hand, was constructed in 2015 with a deadweight tonnage of 37,679 DWT. Registered in Hong Kong, her technical management is handled by Fairmont Shipping, with P&I insurance provided by Guard. Salvaging operations on the Long Tao River pose extreme challenges. Historical accounts, even from the Vietnam War era, highlight how treacherous navigation here can be, conditions that clearly remain difficult today. There is still uncertainty regarding whether the pilots aboard both vessels coordinated effectively prior to the collision. Typically, pilotage is mandatory on such narrow, winding rivers. A head-on meeting at an S-curve at night represents the worst-case scenario for navigation.
by